Surah Al-Muddaththir is a Meccan surah, revealed in the early days of the Islamic mission. Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira prepared a meal and invited the disbelievers of Quraysh to it. He began asking them for their opinion about Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. One group said he was a sorcerer, while others denied this. Another group said he was a soothsayer, and yet another group denied that. What happened in Al-Mughira's house reached the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and this saddened him. He wrapped himself in his covering, and then this noble surah was revealed, commanding him to go forth and call people to Islam. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, O you enveloped in garments, arise and warn, and magnify your Lord, and purify your garments, and shun the idols, and do not confer favor to seek more, but for your Lord, be patient. Then, when the trumpet is sounded, that day will be a day of distress, for the disbelievers anything but easy. Surah Al-Alaq, the Clot. The divine call began with the command to read and learn, which indicates the importance of knowledge and understanding in Islam, and that righteous deeds are not complete except with correct knowledge. It also emphasizes that the beginning of change starts from within oneself, by purifying it from impurities and sins. Surah Al-Muddaththir, the Enshrouded One. It comes after Surah Al-Alaq to emphasize the importance of action after knowledge. After Allah commanded his messenger to read and learn, the command came to arise, convey the message, and warn of the punishment. Both surahs call to the God of knowledge and learning, and inform that there are enemies of the messengers, and they must exist. Leave me alone to deal with the creature whom I created, bare and alone, to whom I granted resources in abundance, and sons to be by his side, to whom I made life smooth and comfortable. Yet is he greedy, that I should add yet more. All of them are characterized by the presumption of ownership, the presumption of being rightly guided, and the presumption of self-sufficiency, leading them to the presumption of perfection in something that has no relation to guidance. So Surah Al-Alaq spoke of the one who feels self-sufficient and forbids a servant when he prays, and he will be punished by being seized by the forelock. Abu Jahl, Al-Walid ibn al-Mughira, who thought and plotted. He possessed wealth, for he thought, and he plotted. Soon will I cast him into hellfire. The people to whom the Quran was revealed held a skewed perception of wealth and poverty, often equating material prosperity with righteousness and hardship, with divine displeasure. They lacked an understanding of a future day of judgment, where true accountability lies. The Quranic revelation introduced a transformative perspective. Dismantling this simplistic and materialistic view, it presented a paradigm where wealth is a test, and not necessarily a sign of Allah's favor, and poverty is not inherently indicative of his wrath. Instead, the Quran emphasized that true merit lies in faith, righteous actions, and adherence to divine guidance, irrespective of one's worldly status. This new perspective highlighted the temporary nature of earthly possessions, and the ultimate importance of the eternal abode, and the justice of the Day of Judgment. The Quran consistently emphasizes that true guidance stems from knowledge and good deeds, not from wealth or material possessions. It elevates the pursuit of beneficial knowledge as a path towards understanding Allah and His creation. This knowledge, when acted upon through righteous deeds, illuminates the heart and mind, providing a clear compass for navigating life's complexities. The Quran cautions against being misled by the allure of worldly riches, highlighting that such provisions are often a test and do not guarantee divine favor or guidance. Instead, it champions the inner wealth of faith, wisdom, and virtuous actions as the enduring sources of true direction and fulfillment, leading individuals towards a life aligned with divine will and ultimately to eternal reward. Knowledge is the light that guides a person to the right path, and it is what distinguishes between truth and falsehood. True guidance, as emphasized by the Quran, originates from knowledge and the resulting righteous actions, serving as a clear path in life. Unlike the deceptive allure of wealth or material possessions, the pursuit of beneficial knowledge illuminates understanding, while virtuous deeds put that knowledge into practice. Relying on worldly riches as a measure of worth or guidance is a flawed perspective. Instead, inner faith, wisdom, and ethical behavior are the enduring sources of true direction and fulfillment, leading to a life aligned with divine principles and lasting reward. The core issue is a descent into intellectual and spiritual complacency. It starts with a deceptive satisfaction with one's current understanding, stifling the essential pursuit of knowledge. This leads to a rigid adherence to limited perspectives and a rejection of differing views, hindering the critical examination necessary for truth. Ultimately, this culminates in a self-deceptive belief in one's own righteousness, blinding one to personal flaws and the possibility of error. This interconnected progression of false assumptions gradually leads individuals astray by undermining the very principles of seeking knowledge, critically evaluating information, and humbly striving for righteousness. The story of the Garden brothers in Surah Al-Qalam exemplifies the three falsehoods. Their self-reliant plan shows a false calculation of self-sufficiency. Their greed and intention to exclude the poor demonstrate a false calculation of being sufficient in wealth. Their initial lack of concern hints at a false calculation of self-purification. The Garden's ruin reveals the consequences of these flawed assumptions. The story recounts brothers who inherited a fruitful garden and plotted to harvest it secretly, intending to exclude the poor, neglecting to acknowledge Allah's will. Their greed led to the garden's overnight devastation, prompting remorse and recognition of their wrongdoing. It serves as a cautionary tale against self-reliance, prioritizing wealth over others, and disregarding divine power. The allure of blessings like wealth and lineage can foster a false calculation of being sufficient, yet these are tests designed to reveal true character and the extent of one's gratitude and piety, rather than being indicators of divine favor. Genuine richness, unlike the superficiality of worldly possessions, lies in piety, righteous deeds, and giving, directly challenging any false calculation of self-sufficiency based on material wealth. Furthermore, true guidance is not inherited, debunking notions of superiority based on lineage. Even knowledge itself can become a source of arrogance if not coupled with faith and upright character, highlighting a subtle form of the false calculation of self-purification based on intellectual attainment rather than genuine humility and spiritual growth. The passage strongly emphasizes that Allah desires us to gain knowledge. How to use it is important. The very beginning of the narrative about the creation of humankind highlights this. Allah informs the angels of his intention to create a successor on earth, and this is followed by Adam being taught the names of all things. This act of bestowing knowledge upon Adam before his role as successor underscores the primacy of knowledge in Allah's plan for humanity. The passage explicitly states that acquiring knowledge and learning the names comes first for the sake of guidance, reading, knowledge, and self-expression. This indicates that the pursuit of knowledge is a fundamental step towards understanding Allah's creation, fulfilling our role on earth, and attaining guidance. The contrast with the Christian narrative, where the tree of knowledge is forbidden, further emphasizes the Islamic perspective that knowledge is not something to be feared or restricted, but rather a means of growth and understanding that Allah intends for humankind. Satan's temptation of Adam directly exploits the three falsehoods, subtly manipulating Adam's innate desires and vulnerabilities. First, Satan fosters a false calculation of self-sufficiency by suggesting that the forbidden fruit holds a key to power and a higher state of being, immortality, implying that Adam is somehow incomplete without it. This plays on Adam's curiosity and desire for completion. Second, Satan encourages a false calculation of being sufficient by creating a sense of lack and comparison, suggesting that Adam is missing something that the others possess. This creates a feeling of inadequacy and a desire to catch up, leading Adam to believe that the forbidden fruit will bridge this perceived gap and make him equal to, or even superior. By exploiting these three interconnected falsehoods, Satan distorts Adam's perception of his own state, the nature of the forbidden fruit, and the wisdom of God's command, ultimately leading him to slip. Then Allah forgave him, because Allah is merciful. The lesson is that Satan's method of leading astray involves exploiting our inherent desires and vulnerabilities by instilling the three falsehoods: a false sense of self-sufficiency, a false belief in one's own adequacy through comparison, and a subtle undermining of divine wisdom. This highlights the importance of humility, continuous seeking of knowledge, and unwavering trust in God's commands to avoid falling into such deception. Even when we err, as Adam did, God's mercy is vast for those who repent. The abundance of Arabs in the pre-Islamic era were pagans, who believed in numerous divine forces manifested in the celestial bodies and natural phenomena. In the names of their tribes, there is evidence indicating their recent connection to totemism. A question might arise: if most people of the pre-Islamic era did not believe in reward, reckoning, resurrection, judgment day, and afterlife, then why did they worship gods, seek closeness to idols, and offer sacrifices and vows? The Arabs in the pre-Islamic era only prayed for worldly benefits. They would ask for camels, sheep, and victory over the enemy, but they did not seek the afterlife because they did not know it or believe in it. Thus, their worship of Allah and their seeking closeness to the deities were for worldly gain, for benefit and increase in wealth in this life, material possessions, and for warding off the evil of harm, diseases, the evil eye of the envious, and from all that is evil. As for the afterlife, they had no knowledge of it. People in the pre-Islamic era only grasped the material values of things. So they imagined the bad consequence as a material one, such as a disease afflicting a person, or a disaster befalling his wealth, his camels, his crops, or his family. Surah Al-Layl, the night, mentions the alternation of night and day, which is not evidence of differing and conflicting deities of light and darkness. Rather, it is from the decree of Allah. The sun prostrates beneath the throne of Allah. Everything is by Allah's permission. And the moon, we have determined for it phases. As for one who gives and fears Allah and believes in the best reward, we will ease him toward ease. But as for one who withholds and considers himself free of need and denies the best reward, we will ease him toward difficulty. Quran 92-4-11. The verse: Indeed, your efforts are diverse. The turning of night and day, and the changes in circumstances from wealth to poverty, and from poverty to wealth, are a trial from the Lord of the worlds. For the day of judgment is the true day of separation. It does not mean that the rich person is independent and thinks that Allah is pleased with him because of the blessings in this world. Nor does it mean that the poor person in this world is far from Allah.